The beauty of physical evidence is that it tells a story. We look at the firearm, we look at the blood, there were cartridges left behind, projectiles were found within the toilet. Physical evidence cannot lie.
After a 2-week break, the Oscar Pistorius trial resumed this morning with testimony from defense witness Johan Stanner, the former manager of Silverwoods Estate where Oscar lived. He considered himself a friend of Pistorius and was the first person Oscar phoned after he'd shot Reva.
I shot Reva. I thought she was an intruder. Please come quick. I stood up, I walked out, opened the door, and when I was walking out of the room, my daughter came out of her room and she said she just heard somebody screamed for help.
Stanner said he'd seen neighbor Dr. Johan Stip at the scene and they discussed the gunshots heard.
Just said to me, he heard 4 shots, silence, screams, and 4 shots.
Johan Stanner was asked to confirm that despite Silverwoods being a secure estate, there'd been incidents of crime.
There's one, the second incident in Milkwood Way. That's where they used the ladder to access the home.
In January 2013, Silverwoods was a safe place to stay in. Would you agree with that?
No, my lady, it's a safe place like an estate, but in the estate you cannot also always be sure that you're staying in a 100% safe place.
State Advocate Gerrie Nel suggested that Johan Stanner was too close to the defense team. Had he given them access to Pistorius' house and spoken to witnesses?
You phoned Dr. Stip later.
That's correct, my lady.
And indicated to him that the defense might be in contact with him.
That's correct.
You just wanted to check his number.
That's correct, my lady.
Next on the stand was Stanner's daughter, Carice Viljoen. Barry Rue took over the defense questioning from Kenny Aldridge. She said Oscar Pistorius was her friend.
We just had coffee every now and again. He would come and visit at our house. I would go and visit at his house every now and again.
She recounted the events of February the 14th, 2013. She'd been awoken by her dogs barking and then heard someone shouting for help.
And I then stood by the door and I opened it a bit and I kept my ear there to try and hear if I can't hear where did this sound come from, because I couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from because it was clear somebody needed help.
The obvious argument to forward the defense's case is that the shooting was a dreadful mistake. So much was made of his state of mind when Johan and Carice Stanner arrived at the scene.
From the second that we walked into that house, he was frantic. When he saw us, he just kept on, Carice, please, can we just put her in the car and get her to the hospital? And I'm sorry, my lady, I apologize.
No, just don't worry. Just take your time.
Thank you. So he was begging and pleading with Reva as well. Just stay with me, my love, stay with me. And then we tried to stop the bleeding, and I remember we tried to I asked him if he doesn't have some tape and some bags, because I wanted to try and tie the stuff as tight as possible. And that didn't work, so we proceeded to use a towel.
She also said when the ambulance arrived, Pistorius went upstairs to find Reva's ID book.
Then I thought he's going to go and possibly shoot himself. So I immediately ran up and I was too scared to go any further, so I stood at the top of the stairs there in the dark and I just shouted, I'm like, Oscar, please, just bring the bag quickly.
The state needs to prove that Pistorius was not as distressed as the defense claims. Hence Gerrie Nel's line of questioning.
He specifically asked you to put your finger in the mouth to keep the airways open.
He did, my lady.
And he's the one that constantly asked when the ambulance would arrive. So he was following what's going on, the accused.
Despite the 2-week break, Barry Roux called for an early end to proceedings just before the lunch break. The defense, which has more than a dozen other witnesses on its list, was apparently unable to get any of them to attend court today. Court will resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning.